forward to hearing about your mission work through Hawaii.
Good evening. It's such a blessing to be back here with you all on the mainland and just to be able to see you all again. And I just wanted to spend some time just to share with you all what we did on our mission trip to Hawaii. And I wanted you to know that your support has gone a long way. So thank you for all the support that you've given me, whether that was monetary support, prayer support, or just texting and checking up on me. I really do appreciate it. And so tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to run through all the places that we went on our trip, and I kind of have a takeaway that I learned from that location that hopefully y'all can get something out of. So, before we do that, I want to introduce you to our team. So this is our team for the mission. The first person on the team is Taylor. Taylor is one of my best friends at Hawai'i. He's in my discipleship group. And if you don't know what a discipleship group is, it's basically 4 people get together and you kind of live life together. You do Bible studies each week and you just try to grow closer and closer to Christ. So Taylor's one of my best friends, really good encouragement to me, and he was a blessing on this trip. Next up we have Johnny. Johnny's also in my discipleship group, and he's one of my best friends too, and he's part of the reason that I have grown so much during my time at Hawai'i. He's been such a blessing. This is Hannah. For some of you Camp Curios people, you know Hannah. I met her probably 3 years ago at Camp Curios, and ever since then we've been best friends. She goes to Hawai'i, and yeah, she's awesome. Then we have Elizabeth. Elizabeth, none of us, me and Taylor, Johnny, and Hannah, were all really, really good friends before this trip started, but we didn't know Elizabeth too well, so we were like, I don't know how well this is going to mesh, like, we're going to have to figure this out. But she came on the trip, immediately clicked with all of us, and she's just, she's a blessing to know. And then next we have Grant and Kayla. Grant is the college minister at College Church of Christ. So we did this mission trip through this program called Global Outreach at Hawai'i. And Grant and Kayla were the leaders. So he's our college minister at College Church of Christ. And then finally, we got me. So here's our team. And I just wanted to show you all their faces and tell you their names because you'll see them in the pictures and things like that. But this group has really had an impact on my life, and I'm so thankful for each and every one. So let's dive in. So the first place that we went was Hilo, Hawaii. And we visited the East Hawai'i Church of Christ. And so us boys ended up staying in the basement of the church, and the girls in Grant and Kayla ended up staying in the parsonage right next to the church. So here's the parsonage. So that's where they stayed. And we stayed down here in the basement. It was a pretty good time. You know, us boys just got to hang out, just kind of mess around. We could go hang out with the girls if we wanted to, but also come back to the basement and just mess around. And this was really the first place that we got to experience the Hawaiian culture. And one thing that's going to be evident throughout this whole presentation is the beauty of God's creation. I've never been anywhere in my life where I've seen this many beautiful plants and animals and just views. His beauty was very evident, and that was life-changing. I mean, these plants are gorgeous. It's so vibrant everywhere. It's like a rainforest everywhere you look. This week in Hilo, we spent a lot of time with members of the church there. A lot of the churches in Hawaii are really small, so they really appreciated us being there, and we appreciated their hospitality and their love towards us. We also got to go to Volcano National Park. So that's where these top 2 pictures are. That's down inside of a volcano, so we were walking on dry lava, and like a couple miles from there, and a couple days later, that same volcano erupted, which was pretty cool that we were standing on one that kind of erupted. So it was pretty wild. So there's Volcano National Park. It was gorgeous. Here's a picture of us fishing for you fishermen out there at one of the church members' houses. He had a pond, and you would just drop the bait in and pull it right back up, and you had a fish on the end of it. It was wild. And then here's a market with a bunch of fruit and stuff. The fruit was crazy. We bought a bunch of different kind of fruit that we had never really gotten to try. We got to try it out. It was pretty cool. It was really good fruit. And Hilo was it was an amazing city to start our mission in. And so here's my takeaway from my time in Hilo. My takeaway is the rhythm of life that we lived. You know, we went to bed early. After we flew in and everything, we were kind of jet lagged, so we slept in that first morning. But after that, went to bed at like 8, which is kind of early for me. And then we woke up at like 7. And so it was just, we lived this rhythm of life. And like our main goal was to go and encourage other people in the community. And we worship God in His creation. And that's how I want to live each and every day of my life. Here's a picture from one morning. There's the sunrise. We woke up at 5 a.m. And we just went to go pray and just sit by the beach and just spend time with God. And while we were doing this and just living in Hilo, I thought of the rhythm of life that Jesus had. You know, all the scriptures of that Jesus went out early in the morning while it was still dark to go be with His Father. And we read the Gospels and we see Him living that life where He goes out to spend time with His Father each day, and He heals and He loves those around Him, and He does work for the kingdom. And we should live a life focused on those same things. Right? I mean, before we went to Hawaii, I think my main goal was probably just to graduate and get married and just go preach somewhere. But after Hawaii, one of my main goals is to live a rhythm of life like Jesus did. Because what is our ultimate goal? I mean, to get more money? To be famous? No. It's to bring more and more people to come and to know the love that Jesus has for them. And that's our goal. And whenever we live each day spending time with our Father, looking out for others and worshiping God in His creation, people can't help but notice that we reflect the image of Christ. So this is my biggest takeaway from Hilo, is that Jesus lived the rhythm of life, focused on love, others, and the kingdom, and we should too. All right, our next place was Waimea. So Waimea put us to work. We worked 5 days straight in people's yards, and let me tell you right now, yard work in Hawaii and yard work in South Arkansas are completely different things. Yard work in Hawaii is, here's a machete and you're going to chop through my rainforest that I have in my backyard. And so that was, I was not expecting that, but it was incredibly rewarding to be able to do that for people. So yeah, here's us loading. We loaded 3,000 pounds of logs into a dumpster one day, and we met all these incredible people. There's some bamboo that we cut down and stuff like that. So it was incredibly rewarding, not only to be able to work and help out those people, but also just to meet them and to spend time with them. And we also met some of my favorite people in Waimea. This top pic here in the left corner is of us. The first time that we got there, we met with some couples from the church, and we just got to sing, got to worship God. I didn't even know all their names yet. And that was a unifying experience. And here's some more people that we met. They're all just a joy to know. Here's some more pictures of God's beautiful creation that we saw in the Waimea area. There's a rainbow. The rainbows that we saw in Hawaii are so much more vibrant than any rainbow I've ever seen here. They were gorgeous. Here's some pictures of Milo, the log, goofing around on the beach a little bit. And this is the church. They have church a little differently than we do here. That's a horse stable. And so we woke up that morning, and they have a little storage unit outside the horse stable, and you grab everything out of that, and you set up church that morning. And it was a little bit different, but it was really cool. It was really cool to see. So I think that my biggest takeaway from being in Waimea was just being present. You know, God showed me that just by being present with those around me, you know, whether we were eating incredible food, playing board games, you know, experience God's creation or worshiping with them, like just by being there, we made an impact. And I think there's something to that. You know, in America, we can worship success and hustle and hurry. Right? We can be in such a hurry to get the next thing done that we don't even notice the people to our left and to our right. We're on our phones or we're eating a meal with our families. We're texting somebody else when we're having a conversation with one person right in front of our eyes. And I'm 100% guilty of this. And in Hawai'i, yes, we did work, but it wasn't our work or our preaching or our evangelism. It was just our presence they were so thankful for. Them being able to see that there are like-minded people out there, that there are young people who are trying their best to love the Lord and who want to make disciples, I think left an impact on them. And so I encourage you to be present with those around you, at work, at home, at school, at church. Don't be so focused on accomplishing the next thing that you forget to connect with those you love who are right in front of your eyes. Because that's how Jesus lived, right? This picture, all the way out here, this lady right here, that's Auntie Billy. And she lives out this principle of being present with people so well. And she's kind of where I got this point from. I remember the first night that we got to Waimea, we sat down in their house and ate, and they cooked us dinner. And I was sitting with her, and we were just talking about just things that we had been doing. I told her about our Yellowstone trip, and she looked at me in a way that nobody else had really looked at me before. Like she looked at me like she cared about every single word that came out of my mouth. And even though I was telling her about this stupid stuff that we were doing in Yellowstone and about the dares that we were daring each other on the side of, like, it was just stupid stuff, but she cared so much, and like she wanted to know what I had to say. And that's how I imagine Jesus. Being such a good listener and looking at those around him, just feasting on their every word. I imagine looking into the face of Jesus was the most loving experience, because I imagine that he looked at you like he cared about you. Like he genuinely wanted the best for you. And it got me thinking, like, what if I lived like that? What if I made it my goal to look at every single person I come in contact with every single day and just make them feel like I care? Like I'm not worried about what's going on in my life. What if we showed other people that we actually cared about their lives and their well-being? Slowing down and being present with those around you is to live how Christ lived. And that's the biggest takeaway I got from Waimea. Next, we got on a plane, left Big Island, and went to Maui. And now we met the preacher, and his name is Stan. And I'll say a little bit more about him later. And we stayed in a yurt in Stan's backyard. So here's pictures of the inside of the yurt. So us three boys stayed in the yurt, and it was so much fun. We just got to goof around. We were in his backyard. We could make as much noise as we wanted to. He wouldn't hear us. But the first night, before we lay down to go to sleep, Stan comes and he's like, "Hey, I wanted to give you this." And it's a jar of earplugs. And I'm like, "Okay, like what is it?" And he's like, "The neighbors have roosters." And he's like, "And you'll be woken up at 4 a.m. by the roosters." And I'm like, "Oh, goodness." So we all put in the earplugs, and sure enough, 4 a.m., 20, 30 roosters just go crazy. Insane. And the earplugs they did nothing. So that first time that we were there, did not get very good sleep. But after that, we figured out that if all of us play rain sounds on our phones, and we put the earplugs in, then that's enough to drown out the roosters. So we figured it out, got better sleep. We fixed our issue. So here's the pictures of the yurt. The little girl there, her name is Anu. That's Stan's granddaughter. And the difference between Waimea and Maui, it was very stark. In Waimea, we had everything planned out. It's like, okay, this day we're going to do this and this and this and this. At 3 p.m., we're going to be here. And like in Maui, Stan was just like, yeah, we might go do this today. Like, we might go help this homeless guy clean up his tent. And we were like, okay. And that didn't really sit right with me at first because I'm a very like planned person. Like, I'm like, okay, I need to be here this time and do this and this and this and this. And so when I was in Maui, God challenged that part of me. But we ended up just following Stan's lead and just letting God do the planning. And so, like, when we let God do the planning, like, there was one day, like, here's this picture of me laying on the moving beds. Like, there's this family that just happened to move to Maui while we were there and happened to show up to the church on Wednesday night. So then one day we were like, oh, you need help moving? Let's just go do it. We didn't have that plan on the schedule. And like I said, we woke up one day and Stan's like, okay, we're going to go play with the kids at the park today. And okay, we're going to go clean up the homeless guy's tent area and stuff like that. And it was just interesting. And one day we woke up and I'm sure a lot of you have seen on the news and heard about the fires in Maui and just how many people that devastated. Here's some pictures. We actually went. Stan's been going to the shelters to provide food and just things that they need since the fires happened. So up here is like a field that they had, and this used to be full of tents and things like that for people to come get food. But thankfully, a lot of people have regained their houses and things like that, and so there's not as many tents there. And here's a place where they were still cooking meals for people who didn't have anywhere to get any food. So it's almost been a year, and so they're starting to rebuild back some of the houses. So they're doing really good. And here's some of the. It's really hard to see, but here's some crosses and memorials of people who lost their lives in the fires. So that was interesting to see it on the news and then finally go. But Stan is just somebody who also reminds me of Christ. Like I don't know how he did all that he did. And he was so chill. He was like, yeah, I think we're gonna go do this today. And I'm just like, I don't know how you live your life like this. Like he's always going to do something for somebody else. He's going this day, traveling an hour to deliver goods for this person, and then he's going this day to go help out this person, and it's just crazy. Here's some more pictures. There's Stan's other granddaughter. And here's where they have church. So if you see right there, there's the beach. So the Aloha Church of Christ, and they all pull up with their beach chairs, and they sit down, and we set up the microphone, and we have church. And it was really cool. And on Maui was where I saw the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. There's a mountain on the island of Maui called Haleakala. And it's about 10,000 feet, and the sunsets are beautiful. So we drove there one day, there's a sunset, and here's some more mountains on the top of it. And I actually have a time lapse of the sunset that night. It was gorgeous. So all the different colors. And so we just sat there and just enjoyed God's beautiful creation. And on the right side, you can kind of see the lights of the city start lighting up as it gets dark.
Those are clouds, Drew, right? Not the sea you're looking at? No. The ripples.
Those are clouds.
Yeah.
That's the water. There's the city. So yeah, it was gorgeous. One of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And so in Maui, we just followed God's lead. And we let him show us where he needed us to go and what he needed us to do. And I need to be better about this. Like I said, I plan everything. I want to be in control of everything. I want to know what I'm going to spend my time doing that day. But I think that God has other plans for my time than I do. So when you surrender to God and you let him do the planning, he'll lead you where he wants to go. Our final destination was Aloha Christian camp. So we island jumped again and went to Oahu. And this our last week was spent here. And I was a junior boys counselor, and it was such a fun week. Here's our cabin that we slept in. So we actually only had 6 junior boys, so that was nice. They weren't too bad. They were pretty good kids. And there's the moon and the stars on one night off the deck with the cabin. Here's my buddy Taylor giving the campfire decal on the left side. And for you Camp Curios vets in the middle, Rowdy Campfire. We brought it to Hawaii. I rode an electric bike down a mountain and circled the campfire, and we got them all high and played a bunch of music. It was really good. I think they had a lot of fun. And there's a picture of me and Liz, a kid that we met named Avery. And so during our week at camp, my buddy Johnny and I taught the senior boys cabin during Bible class. And our theme during the week was trust and follow Jesus. So it was basically just talking about the plan of salvation. And it was an incredible week. I loved every second of it. This was the first year since I could go to Camp Curios that I hadn't been at Camp Curios. And so it was good to be able to bring a similar vibe of Camp Curios to Hawaii. And we also had one of the senior boys commit his life to Christ in baptism one night, which was so amazing. And then one day we had a shaving cream fight, as you do, shaving cream, water balloons, and it was a fun time. So we had a pretty good amount of kids. And also during the week, each cabin prepared a talent or a skit to share with the rest of the camp that pertained to the theme of the camp. So I'm going to show you, me and my boys' cabin made a video for our skit, so I'm going to show you that.
I'll be reading Matthew chapter 4, verse 18 to 22. While walking by the Sea of Galilee, he saw 2 brothers, Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." Immediately they left their nets and followed him. And going on from there, he saw 2 other brothers, James the son of Zebedee, and John his brother, in the boat with Zebedee, their father, mending their nets, and he called them. Immediately they left the boat and their father and followed him.
Jesus?
Hey, Zach, come follow me.
Hey, what up, Jesus?
Hey, Taylor, come follow me.
You bet.
Let's go.
Hey, Jesus.
Hey, come follow me.
Okay, but I'll need a second to finish my butchers.
Dude, come follow me. Kobe, come follow me. Hey, Ben, come follow me.
Okay.
Yes, Jesus?
Come follow me. Hey, Judas, come follow me.
Yes, Lord.
Hey, you. Come follow me. Okay, Alex, what's one thing that you've learned about trusting and following Jesus this week at camp?
You need a lot of faith to be able to trust and follow Jesus.
Okay, Kobe, what's one thing that you've learned about trusting and following Jesus this week at camp?
You have to also spread the gospel and not just keep it to yourself.
Okay, Ben, what's one thing that you've learned about trusting and following Jesus this week at camp?
That because he died on the cross for us.
Okay, Avery, what's one thing you've learned about trusting and following Jesus this week?
I've learned that it's kind of hard to stay on not sinning. The way I'm going to improve myself today is probably going to be by reading the Bible more, listening to God, tuning in.
Okay, Cody, what's one thing that you've learned about trusting and following Jesus this week at camp?
Trusting and following Jesus leads to having a great life.
Yeah. All right, Joshua, what's one thing that you've learned about trusting and following Jesus this week at camp?
Well, what I learned about following and trusting Jesus is that sins separate you from Jesus, but if you have faith and if you trust him, then you go closer to him. And also, like what you said, how to repent, you have to first realize your sin, then you have to realize that there's still hope, or then you have to make the full 180 turn and ask for forgiveness. So yeah, that's what I learned at camp today.
Good.
I'm about to have a good day, no matter what they say. The sun is shining down on me, birds are singing praise. I'm about to have a good day, in every single way. The God who made the universe.
So yeah, those were my boys in the junior boys cabin, and they were a joy to have. I think that my biggest takeaway from camp, and just from our whole trip, the one theme that brings it all together is just love. Simply love. In Hilo, it was love as a rhythm of life. A life full of loving God and others. In Waimea, it was slowing down and being present with those around us because that's how Christ lived. In Maui, it was loving God enough to trust him and to let him take control. And at camp, it was just a simple love that was given to us from the staff and the campers that I hope that we reciprocated back. And I think that going on this mission, I had this big idea of going out and preaching on the streets and knocking on doors and proclaiming the gospel to all who would hear. And there's definitely a time and a place for those things. But what I learned through the trip is that just by loving other people, we will change the world. You know, Jesus wasn't in a hurry. He lived a rhythm of life that was full of love for others, and he loved his Father and surrendered to his Father's will up to the point of death. And if we all loved one another the way I was loved by my team and by those that we met in Hawaii, the world would change. The world would change. So why not make it our mission to love? To find those who have been robbed of the love they deserve and give it to them. Why not sit with tax collectors and sinners and love them? Why not grow with our Father in prayer in order to love him better? Why not make it our prerogative to love radically here in Magnolia, Arkansas? And if we did all of those things, Magnolia wouldn't be the same and the world wouldn't be the same. And so that's what I hope to do. To love radically. To love like Jesus did. And I hope you'll join me in that. And if we do that, if we truly love others like Jesus, I believe that we give more and more people the opportunity to live life to the full. So let's fight that battle. Let's love those around us. Let's change the world. Because when you're fighting the battle of love, when you're fighting the battle for love, you'll never come out on the losing end. Because the one who first loved us, he's already won that battle. He's already won that battle. And if we love others the way that Jesus did, we will change the world. And I think this is relevant to our church family today. I think that Miss Marcia was really good about loving others. You know, and when we're living to love others and we're living like Jesus, Satan has no power over us. He may try to hurt us by using sickness, temptation, death. Because of the love Miss Marsha showed us and the way that she lived like Christ, we're able to rejoice during a hard and saddening time like this. We can rejoice in the words of the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. He says, death is swallowed up in victory. Oh, death, where is your victory? Oh, death, where is your sting? For sin is the sting that results in death, and the law gives sin its power. But thank God, He gives us the victory over sin and death through our Lord Jesus Christ. So, my dear brothers and sisters, be strong and immovable. Always work enthusiastically for the Lord, for you know that nothing you do for the Lord is ever useless. And when we love one another like Miss Marsha did, and like Jesus did, our works for God will not be rendered useless. But God will use that love that we gave to change the world. And I firmly believe that. So yeah, when we love like Jesus, we will change the world. I want to leave just a little bit of time for questions. But before we get to that, y'all might think that it was just little things that you gave me. You know, just love, your prayers, an encouraging text, a couple dollars, a note. But those things that you might think are little and minuscule, through those gifts that y'all gave me, God gave me the gift of this trip, and that was priceless. Because of the little things you gave, and because of your support, I don't see the world the same way. I don't think any of us on our trip see the world the same way now. So thank you. I appreciate it. All the love that you've shown me since I was a kid. I'll never be able to thank you enough. So we've got 8 minutes. Got questions? Anybody? Hot seat.
If you're including the church camp, how many congregations, can you run through the list that this work impacts that you can remember?
Scott said, how many congregations did this work impact that I can remember? Well, definitely the East Hawaii Church of Christ in Hilo, the church in Waimea, the church in Maui, and I don't know how many churches sent kids to camp on Oahu. It was probably 2 or 3, so probably 6, if I had to guess. So 6, and then we did visit. We didn't get to visit this church, but we flew out from Kona one day, and we got to meet up with one of the members of that church and make a connection, so that next year possibly we could spend time in Kona. So probably 7 or 8, and that's not far from all of the churches in Hawaii. Somebody else. Yeah, Ms. Ann.
How many people were at the congregations? I mean, their setup seems to be necessarily casual, but how many people are there averaging in the congregations?
She said, how many people do they average in congregations? I'd probably say all the churches that we went to, under 20. If we weren't there, I want to say the biggest. They've got a couple big churches on Oahu that are probably pulling 100 to 200, but besides that, they're all under 20. So it leaves us an option. Like we were talking the whole time. Like part of the reason why we take this trip is so that we might move to Hawaii one day, because in a town like Hilo probably had, if we weren't there, maybe 7 people at church. It's a town of 50,000, and there's a college. And it's just like, man, if we sent 2 people, you know, and like we've got buddies, like my buddy Taylor, he wants to be an education major. My buddy Johnny is a Bible major, so it's like, if us 3 and our wives went to Hilo, and Taylor was in the school system, and me and Johnny are in the church, we could probably build up a big church in Hilo. So there's a lot of opportunity for growth, and we'll see if God leads us to that one day. He'll lead somebody. Anybody else? Questions? We still got 5 minutes.
Do they do communion any different than we do?
Did they do communion any different than we do? No. It was pretty similar. A lot of the in Hilo had a building, so they did communion. They passed the trays, but the other ones did the prepackaged things like we do. So it's a good question. Somebody else, Larry?
When we're through talking about Hawaii, I think the congregation would be really interested in what you're going to do the rest of the summer. Would you speak on that?
Yeah, what I'm going to do the rest of the summer. I'm flying out on Friday to go to Chicago to work with the Northwest Church of Christ that we used to do mission work with. And Dad took the college group, and I don't know what my job title is. I guess I'm a youth intern and a preaching intern. So I'm gonna teach the youth group and do stuff with them, and then me and the preacher there are gonna alternate every week and do a sermon series. So, and I'll be there till I go back to Hawai'i, basically. So, any other questions? Yeah.
Okay, so the people that met on the outside, they do that because they don't have a room,
Yeah. She said the people that met outside, do they do that because they don't have a building? And what happens if the weather isn't good? I don't know. I know that church went through a pretty bad split. I don't know the exact reasons, but it's like, it's in our heads, it's like, oh, they get to be on the beach. But in their heads, they have to be on the beach because of things that happened in their church. So they had to split. So I don't know what they do when it rains. So it's a good question. Who's next?
Do they have church at night since they meet outside, some of them? And in the stable, I mean, is there lighting, is there?
Yeah. She said, do they have church at night? Since a lot of them are so small, no, I don't think any of them have church at night. I know the church in Maui, they do church on the beach on Wednesday nights still, and they like actually get together and they'll swim in the beach and play with the kids and they'll go to church. But in Waimea and in Hilo, they do Zoom a lot. They do Zoom on Wednesday nights. So, and on Sunday nights, I don't think they have anything. So Zoom seems to be the way that they get together on Wednesday nights. So, also a lot of them in Waimea, like they live far away. So some of them live 30 minutes to an hour from the church. So doing Zoom is it's a lot easier for them. All right, one more question. I think we'll be perfectly at time. Who wants it? $5.
Tell them about aloha, what that really means.
Okay. Let me find this picture. So there's this guy that we met in Waimea. His name's Uncle David. This guy right here on the left, his name's Uncle David, and he's a native, and we went to go work at his farm, and he runs a farm to where he brings groups of kids in from school and he educates them about farming. Because in Hawaii, the land and working the land and keeping the land the way that it is very, very big. They love the land. And so he gave us a demonstration and told us about culture and things like that. So aloha, which is like a greeting, the way that I understood the lesson is like aloha means like I'm giving my breath to you. Like ha is like breath. So it's kind of like when, like, if you say shalom, you know, it has a deeper meaning than just hello. It's like peace to you. So when I say aloha, it's like I'm giving my breath, I'm giving my well-being to you. And what he's doing with Hannah is the Hawaiian greeting, is you put your foreheads together and then you breathe in at the same time, so you're breathing in each other's breath. So it's a very they care a lot about the culture and about one another. It's a very loving and like sacrificial culture. They care a lot about the land that they've been given and each other. And so I think that's one thing that I want to take back home is even though a lot of Hawaiians some don't believe in our God, they believe in God's, but they still really like treat the land like a gift and treat one another like a gift. And I think that could be something that we're better at over here, is treating the lands that we're given as a gift. So yeah, that was pretty cool when we got that lesson. So I think it's time. I think we'll wrap up. Appreciate you listening to me talk. If you have any more questions, I'm fine. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you. Have a good night.